Now, I know that you've all heard me say this 1,000 times before, but the underground is a pretty dark place. A lot of people like to scam, a lot of people do, well, horrific crimes that I can't even explain in this video, but when it's not hip-hop, it's streetwear brands, because those two seem to go hand in hand. So you're probably thinking, is he talking about Thrax? Is he talking about one of those small streetwear brands that of course are going to end up scamming because they don't have that many employees? No, I'm talking about a pretty big brand here, and that brand is known as PsychwardUSA. They first caught attention for their controversial designs. They put serial killers on shirts, they said a lot of edgy stuff, there's a lot of political stuff on there, and then they first popped off with the shirt that said COVID-19, which at the time was a big hit. But really I shouldn't say them, I should say he, because there's really one man that's behind this entire brand, and that guy's name is Mike Molly. He's not somebody that a lot of people know much about. He always wears a face mask, he doesn't give away his details. All we really know about him comes from this article right here. Now I'm not going to read out this entire article for you because it's pretty long, but basically to sum it up, this guy Mike Molly that came up from Texas started designing clothes. They're really edgy. Apparently people tried to put him in a psych ward. That's probably not true. He's probably just trying to make up a cool villain origin story, and then he started calling himself the most hated designer in America, and there probably is a reason for that, but not the reason that he's saying. Within a couple years, he went from selling his wares to local artists in Texas. He was doing everything in person. Eventually his designs caught attention online, and then the F the COVID shirt ended up getting picked up by Lil Keed, which if you don't know, that's a rapper that used to be with YSL. He's passed away now, rest in peace. And Lil Keed ended up wearing that for a photo shoot with Lil Nar, which if you don't know who that is, he's basically the owner of Narcotic. He's also a rapper, but he's mostly known for his clothing brand that has pretty well taken over hip-hop at this point. Puyo wears it, you got Lil Skies, everybody wears it. After that, the clothing brand basically blew up. He started making a bunch of money, and his whole story is that he hand makes everything he does, so that's why it takes so long for people to get their orders. And for a while it seems like people were okay with that, but recently in 2023 he started working alongside Puya, and he's making all of his merch for All But Six at this point, so he's pretty big time now, and he's still not getting orders out when he should. And I know nobody wants to see a small business owner get attacked, but what I'm saying is this guy doesn't deliver clothing for almost 2 years, sometimes 3. He doesn't give people solid answers. If he does answer them, he'll say that it will come out and then it doesn't. He lies to people, he flexes money online, and overall it's a huge mess, and there's a lot of evidence that proves that all this happened. In fact, there's an entire Instagram page called PsychwardUSA Scam that has over 400 screenshots of people who have been scammed by this. So just so you know the scale of this entire operation, that's how many people are getting over. It's not just 1 or 2 here, it's not just the sweater not showing up, this is 400 people. I'm going to get into a good chunk of all of this, but one thing I want to say is this is all information I found online. I believe it myself, but I'm not calling this a scam outright because I want to cover myself legally here. Usually I don't care about these idle threats from different little rappers because they're not really going to do anything, but Puya does have a lot of money. He really likes to silence people who talk bad about him, so I'm just going to cover myself here and tell you if this video ever goes down, it's because somebody on Puya's team decided to threaten me or take it down or copyright strike it. So all I'm saying is maybe download this video right now so multiple people can have copies of it. I'm not sure if anything's going to happen, maybe it won't, but I'm just saying Puya does have a history of censoring other people, you know, this right here, so just don't be surprised. But anyways, let's get into it. So I'm going to break this up into 4 categories. We're going to have him actually not delivering orders, his shady responses, we're going to have the responses from other people around him like Fat Nick, and then finally we're going to show what happens when they actually get the products that they're advertised, because oftentimes it's not what it's supposed to be. It's often bad quality, it's not put together right. So yeah, that's going to be the final thing we cover, but let's get into the first one right now, him not delivering orders. First thing I want to show you so you know I'm not capping is he's locked in with All But Six records. He shows that right here. He also says there might be Molly X City Morgue, and then you got God Is a Furry being worn by Fat Nick. You got Lil Tecca, Puya, and Fat Nick all wearing the merch as well, so he's definitely tapped in with all of them just to prove that. So to start off, I'm just going to show you this. Somebody decided to order a couple shirts here. They came to about $42. He also ordered a mystery box, and then he didn't get it, so he decided to reach out to Molly. Molly then says, never said I was done shipping at all. I've been posting updates on my IG story via PsychwardUSA's page. Thanks for the support. And of course, the guy who's reaching out who hasn't got his stuff is very happy about this because he actually got a response from the main man who's in charge of it, which once again makes it seem like a small business. It seems like everything's good. Then goes on to say he's got more dropping on Black Friday, and the guy says, okay, bet I'm going to take out a loan. You know, he's joking, saying he's going to buy more, because at that point, if you're talking to the actual guy making the clothing, you probably think it's very professional. You think it's cool. He's really responding to people. He then shows him the order and he says, okay, I'm going to throw in a freebie. He's being a very nice guy here. And if you're wondering why the customer is so adamant about getting his stuff soon, it's because he ordered it quite a while ago and he's moving, so he needs it to come to the new address. He says, you know, I either need to get a refund, I need need to get the money back, or you need to ship it to the new place if you can. I'm just trying to get some support here from the customer support. But they basically start ghosting him at this point. And then 5 months later, Mike posts on his story saying that everybody who orders stuff is going to get shipping numbers soon, but he didn't get that, so he reached out to them again a month later saying, you know, what's going on with all this? Now it's an entire year later and this guy still hasn't received any clothes whatsoever. It's been like 2 years at this point, and I know what you're saying, okay, maybe one guy slipped through the cracks, it's because he moved, you know, they couldn't get to him. It's still weird they're not answering him, but let me show you more evidence of other people who have also had similar interactions. So we got another guy here who ordered a couple Psych Ward hoodies. He says, are you going to push them back to Halloween, or are we going to get them in the next couple days? He gets no response. He then tries to message him again in November, December, January, and finally he gets a response in January. The customer support says they already started shipping. We got round 1 of the Zodiacs, just waiting for round 2 to land. We'll keep you posted. The guy then says, will there be a tracking number? I did buy an XL. Yes. How big are the hoodies? Sends a voice message. I hope this helps. A couple days later, he hasn't got a shipping number. He says, I don't know if I received my tracking number. Sorry to bother. I don't know if you guys already shipped out the Zodiac hoodies, or is it going to take a while for the number of the shipping? He then shows his order number and says, I don't know if it got lost, but is there anything you can do to help me out? He finally gets a response 2 months later in April. They say, hey, what's up? He says, I haven't got my zip up hoodie. I never got a shipping number or anything. It's been pretty much since February. I don't know if it's part of that 250, 200 units that are still pending. Is that what you're putting out? They say, yes, it is. And of course, he's satisfied with this because he got a response and he probably thinks he's going to get his clothes in the next couple months, but here we go again. Almost an entire year goes by. It's now January of the next year. He's trying to message him, no answer, hasn't got the Zodiac hoodie. There's only 200 to 250 of these that are supposed to go out. No tracking number, no nothing. He's still not getting it almost a year later. So that's 2 accounts now. And he gets a response 2 years later where he says, yo, what's up? He then sends them a bunch of stuff saying, I don't know if you're working on your own. I really respect your work, but it's been almost 2 years and I just need to know if I'm going to get it. Never got a confirmation number, never got anything. Like, it's a little bit too long to wait. And for the next couple months, he keeps trying to reach out to him. He's not getting any response whatsoever. When he does, they don't say much. They say, hey, what's up? You know, we don't know what's going on with your order. Eventually he changes bank cards and he just never gets his order. Once again, another guy, even to this day, 2 years later, no hoodie. And at this point, you're probably feeling bad for Mike. You're thinking he's just one guy trying to get all of this stuff handmade and sent out to everybody. Here's him flexing almost $100,000, actually more than $100,000 on Instagram Live.
In 1 year, y'all are fucking crazy. 115K. She's able to brag that her college dropout son made 6 figures.
This guy is always flexing money, so people do feel bad for him for being a small business owner, but when you're making that type of money, hire some more people. Like, come on. I mean, whether or not this is a solo operation or not, why is it at this point? You're making hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're not able to send stuff out. Hire a couple people to at least answer people, give tracking numbers. Like, I know you want to make everything by hand and you can do that if you want. I mean, like, it's probably going to be impossible when you're getting 100,000 orders all the time, but you can at least hire on a couple customer service people at this point. Obviously, it's a huge problem, and if you do have people hired on, they're not doing a good job because they're not responding to people for almost 3 months. You shouldn't be doing this all by yourself. You got to get other people on board. You're probably thinking after all of that, he's hand making all this, so it will be a really great product, but look at the products when they actually get shipped. This is how it's advertised and this is how it actually comes in. It's faded, it doesn't look good, it's not the same size that he even ordered. Like, what is going on at this point? The person who posted this says, yeah, actually I bought one of the t-shirts when they were $6.66 and it looks like complete dog shit. The guy took over a year to send it and he had some excuses every time. I contacted whatever site he was using at the time because I was pretty sure they took his store down because he wasn't fulfilling orders for anything. And Mike has actually complained, blaming Shopify for the reason that a lot of his orders weren't coming out, but I think Shopify just removed his store because so many people were complaining that he wasn't sending orders out. It's not reasonable to have people waiting over a year to 2 years to get products and still not getting them. Like, still not even getting them in 2024. So at this point, people are getting mad at Puya, Fat Nick, the Suicide Boys. So somebody messaged one of the Suicide Boys' nephews to ask what's going on. So Molly ends up putting something on his story saying, Molly for Grade A Tour, thank you a lot for allowing my art to make it this far. G59 to the grave, leaks dropping soon. So Psych Ward is a scam, which is that Instagram page that's been exposing everything, ends up putting that on his story and saying, why is the Suicide Boys working with those guys? So somebody actually gets in contact with his nephew and this is what he has to say. He said, I saw your DM, I'm going to pass it along to the boys and their team, I'll talk to you later. Fast forward a couple days later and he responds saying he's not even working with Suicide Boys, so apparently he's just talking out of his ass. Now, we don't know if they were ever working together, maybe they found out about all the scamming, decided to cut him, but either way it seems seems like he's not working on grade A at this point, but he's definitely still working with Fat Nick and Puya. So you're probably wondering if they had a response to the whole situation, and surprisingly Fat Nick actually has responded to a couple DMs here and there, so I can read them out right now. So this isn't actually Fat Nick, this is somebody who worked alongside Mike Molly who's talking for Fat Nick. He basically says that Mike used to work with him, he found him really narcissistic, he was always trying to act like he was a big businessman when he wasn't, but he also told him that he looked up to him, so he felt kind of bad and still wanted to work with them. Not sure exactly who this guy is, but apparently he's worked with both of them, being Fat Nick and Mike Molly. But the most important part of information here is he says, I hung out with Fat Nick a few months back and he told me Mike fucked up a bunch of the tour merch, orders had stains on them, and the shirts were bad. He then tells the person not to post the conversation, but he still does, so that's kind of weird there, but I guess it is what it is. They're trying to get the information out there. Surprisingly though, Fat Nick responds to this and says Mike Molly is actually a great designer. So of course we don't know if this was actually true. Was he actually talking shit about Mike Molly? Could he just been a little behind the scenes type of thing, bit of shit talk to a friend that then got outed? But this is the real Fat Nick. He's actually responding saying he's a great designer. So let's see what else he says. This other person responds and they seem to really not like Mike Molly. They said, I'll admit he's got some cool designs, but there's speculation that he's actually ripping off other people. I mean, that is the nature of the game, but still, he should stay in his lane and leave the production business to people who put their heart and soul into it. No crybaby stories. He's the type of guy who'd be posting text messages of him and his mom, but where are the messages from his dad? And honestly, I don't think I'm going to read this entire thing, but you get it. He really doesn't like Mike Molly. He's going in on him. I'll leave the message here if you want to read it. And of course, everything that's actually on this Instagram, I'm going to link below if you want to see all this information and all of this stuff. I'm just trying to kick the door open and show people what this business is actually doing, but I can't show all 400 screenshots. I mean, if it gets to that point, I'll definitely do that, but for now, I just want to give you a bit of a sample platter of what's going on. If it gets to the point where they're arguing and saying this isn't true, then I'll definitely show all the screenshots, but they are on this Instagram page, so if you want to go see them for yourself, definitely do that. But back to the Fat Nick response. He says, listen, I don't know what's going on right now, but I could connect the clues. Probably something you ordered right, something an email or a DM could fix. I've had orders take forever from brands that I like. Sometimes shit happens, right? Not that I'm assuming here. I met Molly a bunch of times. He works on designs with me. He's a great kid. No intentions of scamming anyone or taking advantage. Genuinely a great person. This person then goes on to explain that basically no matter what his intentions are, people are getting ripped off, and he says maybe some shit got overwhelming and he got backed up. But once again, he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hire some people. Like, it's not an excuse at this point. I know things take a while sometimes, but 2 years, 3 years, no responses, not talking to anybody, that's pretty shady. And I'm not saying this guy is intentionally trying to scam anybody. You know, it could be a mistake. It could just be him getting backed up. But at this point, you need to understand what's going on. There's so much backlash to your business to the point that people are actually selling bootlegs of your clothes that are getting to people sooner than the actual stuff you're trying to ship out. And if it is going to take 2 years for you to get people their product, you definitely shouldn't be flexing money online, because then they're not going to feel bad for you at all, because you got all this money. They're struggling to pay $80 for these clothes, and I know people are going to say you don't need fancy designer stuff, but when you're paying money for something, you should get it within a reasonable time. But Fat Nick says, I hope this goes well and thank you. Follow your dreams and craft and heart. I'll talk to Molly about all of this and I'll see what's up. So I don't know if you ever talked to him, but it seems like things haven't improved. We got one here saying, I feel you, bro. I haven't received everything I've ordered, but that doesn't mean I didn't have issues. The tees never looked how they looked online. I have 4 shirts from him from separate drops. The quality isn't what he says it is, and I got the 666 tee, and it's really just a $1 gilding tree shirt that he doesn't even take the tag off of. Like, he doesn't own a print shop, and he can super cheaply print tags to make it look more professional. And not to mention that he tries to sell PDFs to people to tell them how to market their business. It's $500 to get into it, and I only made 4 sales off of that. So if I'm reading this message correctly, apparently Mike is also trying to sell business advice online, which you should never sign up for. If people are trying to sell you $1 million idea, it probably means it's not $1 million idea. They're just trying to scam you. Another guy says every time I DM him, he says he's got me, but then when I ask for updates, he ignores me. So that's 3 people now with the exact same story, not to mention 2 people saying that the product isn't actually what it's supposed to be. Another person says they didn't get their cardigan. This person ordered over $500 worth of merch and never received it. Like, I'm not going to go into all of these, but I am going to thumb through them really fast to show you just how many there are. If you think somebody's faking these screenshots, damn, they're really dedicated over the course of years. There's no way this is fake. This is definitely happening. And at this point, I really think Mike needs to respond to this. There's so many people who haven't got their stuff. You just need to say something publicly and not this half-ass response. Tell people what's going on. Tell people why it's taking so long. Tell people why they're not getting their money back. No tracking orders. What's going on? Why is your business like this? And how is it possible for somebody like that to get in with Puya and Fat Nick and start making merch for Grade A and all of this? He keeps going bigger and bigger, but he's not actually delivering anything. So does he have a weird in the industry? We don't really know. Not going to speculate too much, but I hope this is enough information to kind of sway you to know that this guy's a scammer and to never buy from him. Okay, I mean, maybe he's not a scammer, just going to say allegedly there, but if you look at the information, it's pretty damning. So I hope for the most part, people try to stay away from that clothing brand. Don't order stuff from them, because holy crap, this is bad. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more information to come out in the future, so I'm going to stay on this There might be another video covering a little bit more of the allegations against them, but for now, that's all I'm going to say. Thanks for watching, and make sure to leave a comment below, because if you've been scammed by them, you definitely should tell your story in the comments so more people can see what's really going on and know that it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, it's like 10, 20, 100 people. So yeah, make sure to leave your story in the comments below. Shout out to Knife Gang. I also got a Patreon because I don't scam people, I just panhandle for money. So if you want to send me $1 over there, it would help me out. But if you don't, that's cool too. And with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.